Welcome to Santa Clarita Weekly. Get ready to dive deep into the heart of our community as we explore local news, events, and sports like never before. Now here's your hosts, Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty.
Welcome back to another edition of Santa Clarita Weekly with Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty. I'm Sage, he's Tim, and we have a lot to talk about this episode. It's election season. California primaries are coming up. Actually, they're just next month. The race for California's U.S. Senate seat is the biggest one. So we're going to talk about the candidates and who will probably be the winners in the primary. Tim and I went to a town hall event for Assemblywoman Pilar Schiavo of Assembly District 40. She's running for re-election right here in the 40th Assembly District, which includes Santa Clarita. The Chiquita Canyon landfill was ordered by the Environmental Protection Agency to do something about the imminent danger it is presenting to the neighboring communities and surroundings. And we look at the West Ranch girls basketball team. So let's start with elections.
Yes, let's start with the elections. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of elections that will be decided next week. It's not even next month. It's happening next week. And we talked about one of the bigger races, the race for U.S. Senate, and has potentially the biggest field. We'll see how that shakes out. But from what I have seen so far, what we have seen so far is that Adam Schiff, who is a U.S. congressman from the San Fernando Valley, from Burbank, is leading the polls, and he seems to be the top choice of all voters right now. The polls are polls. We don't actually know what that'll mean until election night, but he looks like the clear front runner, and the U.S. Senate race is becoming a race for second place. And there are three candidates who are in the running for that second spot. The first is Republican Steve Garvey. Baseball fans will be familiar with him. He was a first baseman for the Dodgers. He played for the San Diego Padres. And he was a very popular figure in the sports world in Los Angeles and San Diego for a long, long time. And the other candidates who are in the running are two Democrats. One is Katie Porter. She's a congresswoman from Orange County. And Barbara Lee, who is another congresswoman who is from Northern California in the Oakland area. So, Sage, I'm going to ask you to tell us more about the candidates who are running for Senate and what you think of each one.
Yeah, so like you said, there are four candidates. Adam Schiff is leading in the polls. And by the way, I should note there are two elections for Senate happening on March 5th. One is the special election to fill the remainder of Dianne Feinstein's term, and the second one is the primary for the 2024 primary. So Adam Schiff is leading by a very, very wide margin in the polls. He's expected to be elected, and he's expected to make it through the primary. So the second place is the prize right now. That's where the race is really heating up. Katie Porter and Steve Garvey are really competing for that, and I know we've said that Barbara Lee is kind of in the running. She's been polling way down in the single digits. So I don't expect her to make it through. But Steve Garvey and Katie Porter are really the two candidates that could make it through. So Steve Garvey is the Republican. Katie Porter is the Democrat from Orange County.
Yeah, so it does look like it's going to be a race between Adam Schiff and Steve Garvey come November. But Katie Porter still has a shot to win that second spot, because she's not going away. And like you said, unlike Steve Garvey, she does have the resources to fund a strong campaign for the primary.
Yeah, she does have the resources. The problem that she's going to be facing if she makes it through let's say she overtakes Steve Garvey, the problem that she's going to be facing is that Adam Schiff is likely to be the next senator. So she'll be running against an incumbent U.S. senator. We've already seen from the polls that the majority of Barbara Lee's supporters will go to Adam Schiff instead of Katie Porter. So Katie Porter really it's a tall order to beat Adam Schiff in November even if she makes it through, because he will have the resources, he'll be the incumbent, and he will be virtually unstoppable.
So let's move over to the race for U.S. Congress. The races for the 27th district in our area, it includes Santa Clarita, and the two top candidates. There's more than two, but the two top candidates that are in this race are Mike Garcia, who is the incumbent and a Republican, and a new challenger, a new face in the world of politics, George Whiteside, who is the Democrat. He has the resources to make a serious run at Mike Garcia and hopefully or potentially change the seat, change it from a Republican to a Democrat. But Sage, you tell me, what do you think of Mike Garcia and George Whiteside?
So yes, George Whiteside is the Democrat who's running against Mike Garcia. He has a lot of resources. One of the watershed moments for the Republican Party this past year, not 2024, but 2023, was when McCarthy was ousted as Speaker of the House. One thing about McCarthy is that he was a ferocious fundraiser. He helped Mike Garcia get into Congress, raise the kind of money that he raised in the past. And now that McCarthy is gone, Garcia is not raising the same amount of money that he used to. So George Whitesides has a lot of support. He has a lot of money. He's been outraising Mike Garcia, or at least on par with him. He has much more cash on hand. Garcia is spending a lot of cash. So Whitesides is going into this general election really strong against Mike Garcia.
Okay, sounds like he's in a good place. That'll be an interesting race, though, because Mike Garcia, like I said, is the incumbent, and he's won this seat twice already. So we'll see how this election plays out. Let's move on to the state senator race in the 23rd district. Now, this is an interesting one. Kip Muller is running as the Democrat against Suzette Valladares, who is a former assembly member, and she's trying to win a seat in the Senate. Now, explain to me this race too, because I'm not exactly sure if it's an open seat or how this seat became available, but these are two relatively newcomers to the Senate running for a Senate seat, right?
So Kip Muller, he was the Democratic candidate against Scott Wilk, who holds the seat right now. And after redistricting, actually Scott Wilk is not eligible to run for re-election. He's actually termed out, and he's moving out of state. I think he's moving to back east somewhere. So Kip Muller decided to enter the race again. And Suzette Valladares decided to enter the race. She was the former assemblywoman for 8038, which is now 8040. Suzette was beaten by Pilar Schiavo for assembly. So Suzette now is turning her sights on the Senate. The Republican Party has not embraced her like they have in the past. And as an alternative, Kip Muller is going on in very, very strong. He has the endorsement of the California Democratic Party.
Okay, let's move on over to the county supervisor race for our district. There are 5 county supervisors, and Catherine Barger is the incumbent. She's the sitting supervisor and running for re-election again. I would say that Chris Holden may be her toughest challenger, her biggest challenger, but I want to throw it to you, Sage, to talk about who is in this race and who do you think are the top 2 candidates who will come out of the primary?
Yeah, so Catherine Barger is She's been there for a long time in the supervisor's office for the 5th district. She has won during the primary almost every single election she's been in. So basically, to explain that, if you get over 50%, you meet that threshold, you don't even go on to the general election. You're automatically reelected. So she's always gotten over that threshold and automatically got reelected. This time it's a lot different. After redistricting, her district is very, very Democratic. It's very Democratic. It's a completely different district that she's running in. And she's facing Chris Holden, who is a state assembly member and is giving her toughest challenge probably in her career.
Right. So I guess the big takeaway from this race is it's not going to be as easy as it was for Catherine Barger in the past. She is going to have to most likely face an election in November and not be able to win the primary. Okay. Another interesting race is for district attorney. And in this race, we have a very controversial district attorney in office right now in George Gascon. He has garnered a lot of national attention for some of his policies. His critics have said that he is soft on crime, and his crime statistics in Los Angeles County are out of control. He's also been criticized for his prosecution policies, some of the ideas that he has for punishment for criminals, for sentencing criminals, seem a little soft to his critics as well. And his seat is definitely one that is in play. And there are a lot of different contenders out there who are challenging him for that seat. Two of the strongest candidates are Jeff Chemerinsky and John Hatami has emerged as one of his biggest challengers as well. So tell me, Sage, a little bit about the different candidates for this race and who will be George Gascon's biggest challenger.
That's a very interesting question because George Gascon, he is very controversial. He came in because he wanted to put in some progressive, really use some progressive ideas when it came to crime and prosecution. And it's been mixed with a lot of negativity from a lot of people. A lot of people perceive that there's a crime wave. I don't know if the numbers really bear that out as much, but you can see through the polls that people are really concerned about crime. They're concerned about Gascon. Gascon is really not popular in LA County. He did survive a recall, but it's unclear whether or not he's going to be able to survive this race. He has a number of challengers. And like you said, Jeff Chemerinsky is a big challenger. Jonathan Hatami is a big challenger. And there's also Nathan Hodgman, who is a Republican who ran I believe he ran for Attorney General in a previous election. As far as who's going to make out of the race, the recent polls that I've seen, have Jonathan Hatami making it out, like if that's what we're going to believe. But there's also a huge chunk of the electorate that hasn't decided yet. So Jeff Chemerinsky, I know he's been running ads. I haven't seen a poll since he started really stepping up his ground game and running ads. Jonathan Hatami is a registered Democrat, but if he does make it through, the thing that buoys him to the top of out of this primary, which is a lot of conservative support, a lot of support from the Republican Party, from Republican donors, Republican activists. Those things could come back and bite him.
Let's move on to the Assembly District race. We've talked about it earlier already. It's the race for the 40th Assembly District seat. Pilar Schiavo won this seat in the last election, and she's running for re-election. She's the incumbent, and she'll be running against Patrick Gibson, the Republican candidate, and a retired sheriff's deputy. Pilar has a lot of support in this area. It's a big district, and it includes more than just the Santa Cruz Valley. I don't want to say she's not safe in her seat, but Patrick Gibson will present a challenge for her. Just how big a challenge will that be, Sage?
I actually don't think it's going to be as big a challenge as some of the others are facing, because he has not raised as much money as she has. I mean, she's raised a lot. She has a huge war chest.
One of the things that Sage and I did this last weekend, was attend one of her town hall events in Newhall Park. And at the town hall, she talked about the issues, the bills, the stuff that she's been working on in the assembly. But Pilar was talking a lot about her accomplishments in the assembly this year, and she talked a little bit about her being on the Military Veterans Committee. She talked about coming up with bills to help online consumers, to help with people with online subscriptions, and to help them cancel subscriptions that they don't want, and working with online subscription companies to make that process a little easier for people to follow. But at the same time, she fielded some questions from members of the community, and the people that attended the town hall had different questions for her. They had three basic topics that they wanted to cover. One of them, interesting enough, was homeowners insurance. And some of the people who were at that town hall event were concerned about the rising cost of homeowners insurance. Some of them said that their rates have gone up 3 times, 4 times what they were in previous years. And they want to know what the assembly is doing to try to bring those costs down and get that insurance and to get their insurance rates more under control. Another topic that came up was retail theft. And there were some people there who asked her questions about what the assembly is doing, what the legislature is doing to curb the spike in retail thefts in our district, in our communities. The other topic that came up was the Chiquita Canyon landfill. And people there had questions about what is going to be done about the landfill. That's a big issue for a lot of people who live in our community. Is the legislature going to be working on trying to shut the landfill down, trying to make them be a little more conscientious about the damages they're doing to the environment, to the neighboring communities, and to just the quality of life in the areas around it. So those were really the 3 main topics. And I know, Sage, you were there with me. We were talking to different people. What did people tell you about the town hall event, and what was on their mind?
It was just a good community event. But I know you actually got interviews with people, right?
Yes, we talked to a couple of different people who attended the event. Valerie Bradford, she's from Newhall as well. And she had questions on a number of topics, but there were 2 areas of concern that she wanted to hear about. One of them was homeowners insurance as well. She's a homeowner, and her insurance has gone up in recent years. But she also had questions about the landfill, and she wanted to know how the landfill is impacting the environment. There's a lot of pollution that the landfill is generating right now, and it's been cited and it's been in violation of a lot of environmental rules. But Valerie had some thoughts on how Pilar and the assembly was handling and approaching the landfill.
Okay, let's take a look at that interview right now.
Can you tell me who you're voting for and why you're supporting that candidate?
Okay, so no, I won't share who I'm voting for. Of course, all of us, have the right to privacy in elections. But I'm here today because I want to hear how the issues are being addressed. And so I'm interested in environmental justice. I'm interested in what's going on in our city. I'm interested in the insurance issue that all of us homeowners have. And so I wanted to hear what was being said about those issues.
Satisfied with Pilar's answers today?
I was. I feel like she is doing everything she can possibly do to not only bring finances to our community, and I've seen her do that, but also to hear how our legislature is working on the issues that I mentioned, especially insurance. Our homeowners insurance, we got dropped. I think we've been dropped twice. And so, like some of the other residents here, that's important to me to find out how that's being addressed and know that it is being addressed. The same with environmental justice, and so the Chiquita Canyon landfill is a huge issue. I talked to many residents that live in the Val Verde area, and the health issues that they're having, dead birds, dead bees all around them. Their kids can't go out. Their quality of life is so hugely affected by this landfill that was extended for another 30 years, and in an area that doesn't seem to matter to those in power. So I was satisfied with your answers.
The Chiquita Canyon landfill has been in the news again. They were ordered, and this isn't even a hint anymore. They were ordered by the Environmental Protection Agency to address the imminent dangers, and that was the word that the EPA used to describe what's going on there. The imminent dangers that the landfill is presenting to the environment and to the communities. The EPA has been part of this multi agency task force that's been monitoring what's been going on at the landfill for a few months now. And the EPA came down with an order last week for the landfill to start telling them what they're going to do to curb the pollution. I mean, the pollution is just kind of out of control there. And so the EPA is finally forcing the landfill to give them some answers. And this is something that the members of the community have been asking for months now. They want answers. They want to know how bad the pollution is and what is being done to stop it.
Yeah, and I know recently Los Angeles County Supervisor Catherine Barker called on state regulators to revoke the permits for Chiquita Canyon landfill, citing the issues surrounding the odor.
No, it's nice to see finally that something is being done to at least let the nearby residents know what's happening at this landfill.
All right, let's start talking about sports. So you want to talk about the West Ranch girls basketball team?
Yes, we have an exciting time in high school basketball playoffs right now. Two teams from the Santa Clarita Valley advanced to the CIF state tournament. The first team, or one of the teams, is the West Ranch girls basketball team. Now, they played in the first round of the Division IV state tournament on Tuesday against Arleta. They won that game 55-45, and they will be advancing to the second round to play Newbury Park. Now, Newbury Park is going to be probably the best team that West Ranch has faced all season. Newbury Park is the #1 seed in the Southern California bracket for the state tournament in the Division IV bracket. And they're going to have the home court advantage for this game. So that's going to be a tough game for them. But good on West Ranch. They won their first round game. They made it into the second round. They're still alive, and they still have a shot to move on in the state tournament. As for the Castaic boys, they lost. They lost their first round game in the Division IV Southern California bracket of the state tournament. They played Westchester, and Westchester is it's a traditional city section team, but it's also one of the most successful city section teams that have ever existed. They've turned out NBA players for decades. I think the latest that that played at Westchester was Trevor Ariza, who played for the Lakers for a little while, and he was on the UCLA basketball teams. But yeah, the Castaic boys, they finally met their match. They lost to Westchester 68-56, and just ended. It was a, I'll say it was a nice ending to their season, but Castaic had a very nice season this year. They won their first CIF Southern Section championship, the first one in school history for the basketball program, and they made they made a good showing for the basketball programs in the Santa Clarita Valley. They showed that even a small homegrown team in Castaic can make a nice playoff run and earn a berth in the state tournament. So it was a good season for Castaic.
So for West Ranch girls team, what was some of the biggest challenges that they faced in their journey to the tournament?
Well, the West Ranch girls basketball team didn't have a great Foothill League season. They were the 5th place team out of the Foothill League. They were a lot like Castaic. They didn't have a lot of success during the regular season, but for whatever reason, once the playoffs started, they turned a switch. They flipped a switch and made it all the way to the semifinals of the CIF Southern Section Division 5A playoffs. They didn't get past the semis, but it was enough to get them an invitation to the state tournament. And now, now it's a reset. They get a second life. They look like they are not afraid of the challenge. They seem to have met it. So let's see. They played a good Arleta team. They beat a good Arleta team, and now they have to play a Newbury Park team that hasn't lost a whole lot this year. They're 26-7, and they are probably, like I said, going to be the best team that West Ranch has played all season.
How did the coaching staff help that team reach this level of success?
That's a good question. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know a whole lot about the coaching staff. I just know what they did during their league season and did during the regular season. And it looks like, just from looking at how they progressed during the regular season, during the league season, they just improved. They found a way to keep getting better and keep winning. And that is that's a hard culture to develop. But I think more importantly is they're playing with confidence right now. They know that they can beat good teams, and it doesn't look like they're afraid of playing good teams. So, write it out. Let's see how far the girls can go and see if they can rise to the challenge of the best team they faced all year.
Well, it's a great season for both the West Ranch girls basketball team and Castaic high school boys basketball team, like you said. But I think that's our show for the week. So thanks for tuning in. Come back next week for more discussions about what's in the news in Santa Clarita. Don't forget to subscribe to our page, leave a comment, and let us know how we're doing. If there's anything you would like us to talk about, have a great week, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Santa Clarita Weekly. You can watch the show on Santa Clarita Star's YouTube channel and Facebook page, as well as listen in on the radio at KQRU 107.9. The show is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts.